Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, today's free training. It is so exciting to have you all here. It's wonderful to be able to meet with you and to see you all popping on to the screen. It's awesome. Like I always say, it's a little bit sad when I have a webinar compared to my group, because when I have my group, we just have all these happy, smiley faces. Oh, thank you. I went shopping yesterday. Pardon me. So with a webinar, nobody sees each other, but this way you can just be on here and you can, you don't have to do your hair. You don't have to look all fancy. And so you can just come and participate and enjoy. So exciting to have you. And I'm really, really happy that you can spend this time for yourself. All right. So today we are going to be answering a lot of questions. And so a lot of people who are on here are already my clients, which I absolutely love. And that you are, so if you are on here that you're already my client, this is going to be super helpful for you because it's going to be a really good check-in on my process and how you're doing with that. And those who aren't, at the end of the webinar, I'm going to talk to you about how you can achieve these goals for yourself. So I'm going to spend the first 40 minutes or so teaching the 5 vital steps on losing weight. And you can expect by the end of this webinar that you will understand why these things are happening. And then I'm going to walk you through my process. And then the last 20 minutes or so, I'm going to be able to answer any questions that you have. And we're going to talk about how I help my clients be able to create the results that they want in their lives. So let's do this. All right. All right, so of course, my name is Dara Thomason, and I am the weight loss coach for quilters. I am a certified weight and life coach through the Life Coach School, and I was a professional quilter. I still am, technically. I'm a quilt author, and my journey started when I got my own life coach. We had moved, relocated. Things were not super awesome in my life, and I was really struggling. And I was able to truly, by God's intervention, I was able to find my own life coach, and I started with this transformation. And then as I was helping long armers create their business, they actually asked me if I could help them teach them how to lose weight. And I thought, well, I was able to do it. And so I started offering my weight loss services, but I needed to get certified. So I got certified, and now I have a full practice of weight loss clients for all quilters, and it's amazing. So that is what I've done. So I myself have lost 50 pounds and kept that weight off without counting calories, without exercising. In fact, I never count a calorie. I kind of know about carbs now and what ones are good or not, but I don't even calculate how many carbs I eat. It really is that way. And my clients that are on this call, they know that for themselves as well. You don't need to have to count calories. You don't need to have all that understanding, because the way that I teach weight loss is that this is going to be self-sustainable. If that is something you want to do for the rest of your life and that's how you want to lose weight, go for it. But the way I teach and the way that I help my clients is we don't need to count 1 calorie. All right. So that's just a little bit about me. All right. So the 5 vital steps to losing weight. Let's do this. The problem is we're not able to lose weight and keep it off. That's our problem. So how many of you don't have to raise your hand, you don't have to say it on here, but how many of you have lost the weight and then put it back and then some? And how many times? I can count many times of me losing the weight, putting it back, losing the weight, putting it back. And I do have to tell you, I actually weigh 15 pounds, sometimes 20 pounds, depending, less than I did when I got married 20 years ago. And I've had 5 children. I didn't even know that I could be the weight that I am right now. And it's all because of the way that I teach weight loss. So this is the problem. We cannot lose weight and keep it off. Such a struggle. Then why is this the problem? Well, the problem is that in our society, we only can feel happy if we weigh a certain amount. And that is broadcast around. We feel like a failure because we keep failing. So if you constantly think, I'm a failure at weight loss, I'm no good at weight loss, I can't do this weight loss thing. And so you have that always in the back of your mind, I'm a failure, I'm no good. What's going to happen to us? We're always going to approach it like we aren't informed, we aren't smart, we aren't good enough. Okay. And then we don't fully enjoy our life because you don't think it's possible, because you have this thought, only if I weigh a certain amount can I be happy. Only if I have a certain size of clothing can I be happy. Only if, then I can be happy. And so this is why we've had such a problem, because we have not been able to be sufficient in our own lives. Now, why does this happen? Okay. So it happens because our society, you can't go to the grocery store. You can't turn on the TV. You can't go to a regular store and not just see one-sided pictures of women. We have to be a certain size. We have to look a certain way. And if we look that way, then we can be acceptable. Okay. So our society deems that people who are acceptable are those who have a certain weight. The other thing that happens is we have very conflicting scientific studies and weight loss information. So in 1978, I believe, or 77, the FDA changed the way that we saw the food pyramid and the food guide in Canada. Like, we have changed it, and there's been a lot of confusion. There's a lot of miscommunication about food. So even this breakfast is the most important meal of the day. That's actually not even true. But with advertising and with different rhetoric, we kind of believe, oh, I guess breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And so, and I mean, how many of you lived through the 80s with, is it really important to eat rice cakes? And that Twizzlers were fine because they had no fat. But they had so much sugar. Oh, and margarine, right? So much confusion. So we have been bombarded with varying degrees of science telling us what to eat, when to eat, how to eat it. You can do a simple Pinterest search. You can go to the library, even if some of you have your libraries open, and you will see everyone saying that they are the expert. Okay. So scientific studies constantly changing, food pyramid changing, governments telling us, and that varies all the time. By the way, I want you to put in the chat if at what between 1 to 5, which of this one is the one that you probably relate to the most. Okay. So the question is, why is this a problem? So this happens because our society tells us, and you can put it in the chat, scientific studies and rules for weight loss are always changing. Diets. Okay, what is the problem? Diets are literally, by definition, supposed to last for a short term. So if you were to have a surgery, for example, and they'd say, okay, we need to lose weight really quickly, just go on this diet. Oh, number 2, interesting. Yes, it's very confusing. And so, same with you. Yeah, I love it. Okay, let me just open my chat so I can read it better. Awesome. Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's just like, we just feel like it's like a moving target. We just never know. Oh, another one. Oh, number 5. That's interesting. Number 2 again. Oh, so we have like many at number 2. Awesome. Diets, by definition, are for short-term pain, short-term gain. The information is always changing. Yes. So then it's just like you feel overwhelmed and you're not empowered and you're just like, forget it. I'm just going to go back to Twizzlers, right? So, and the other problem with diets, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this, but they are some expert who doesn't know your body, doesn't know your culture, doesn't know your phase of life, doesn't know your stress levels, doesn't know anything about you, and they're telling you this is what you need to eat. Okay? Now, number 4, we're confused about how weight loss should look. I remember thinking, I don't even know like what I should be looking for, because the only thing I thought was, if the scale keeps going down consistently, then I'm doing right. If the scale goes up and then stays the same for a while, then I must be doing something wrong. So then I don't have a way to gather data. I don't know how to be informed or empowered. I don't know any of that. And so I just feel like I need to go hire some professional to tell me everything. And I don't have any, I don't have any power anymore. And I feel very helpless. Okay. And number 5, do the work from a wrong part of your brain. So it's a very different story for going to work out and cut vegetables and eat really healthy and just like listen to your body. Our body gives us cues. So for example, if you are experiencing arthritis is really our body saying, I need more love. And so we aren't able to distribute estrogen in the way that needs to be distributed. And so we're not getting the love that we need. And so the body holds on, the estrogen is not being produced. And if it is produced, it's staying localized, like in our core. And so we're not able to get that. And so one of the things that I do with my clients is I help them really start, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm getting so excited about all the things I'm saying. So the problem is you do the work from a wrong part of your brain. So you're saying, oh, I look so disgusting, I need to eat this salad, to my body really responds well when I eat a salad and I don't eat a lot of sugar and flour, because then I have so much more brain clarity. That's a very different way of thinking about the way that you're taking care of your body. Okay. Now, the reason I have this here is we have what's called, we have 2 parts to our brain. And we have the lower brain, and that's to keep us to survive. Okay, so when the pandemic happened a year ago this month, well, it happened longer though, but a year ago this month, everything shut down for a while. And so our survival brain has 3 main purposes to keep us alive. It's to conserve energy, it's to seek pleasure, and it's to avoid pain, right? And so when we really look at this is called the motivational triad. This is what keeps us to survive. And so we need to understand how that's going to work. So our survival brain wants us to eat a lot of food, especially flour and sugar, so that we have a lot of reserves on our body in case we suddenly have a famine, or if we get pregnant, or we experience a natural disaster, so we don't starve. It also wants us to conserve a lot of energy so that we don't use up the energy that we have, because it wants to be very efficient, right? So how many of you have gone on the treadmill with one of those pedometers or something, and you just like worked out so hard, and all of a sudden you're like, I just burned 400 calories? That's not even like a full chocolate bar. Our bodies are very, very good. They're very efficient at using the energy that we've been given it. And then the other part is seeking pleasure. It's like it wants us to eat all the food so that we can stay alive. It also wants us to have sex so that we can replicate and maintain our race. So this is our lower brain. Okay. So if we are working out from the wrong part of our brain, we aren't going to have success. All right. So what needs to happen? So this is what I do every day, all day, is I help people understand what actually needs to occur. So the first thing we need to do is we need to understand that weight loss science is actually simple. So when you understand it, okay, so tell me in the chat, if you totally understood weight loss, how different would you show up for yourself? So as you're writing, I'm going to just, so one of the problems that I had with weight and how I struggled was that I used to be a runner. So I used to run many times a week. And for me, it meant if I wanted to be thin, I had to run. And so I was single and I started running and running and running. And even when I was a mom, well, I still am a mom, I have 5 kids. But between pregnancies and being pregnant and all of that, I would go and run. And I had a really awesome stroller. And then even when the other kids got bigger, they would ride their bikes and I put the other ones in a stroller. I had a double jogger stroller. It was amazing. And we'd do lots of walking, but I spent a lot of time trying to keep myself thin and trim during all the ups and downs. Okay. But when I got bursitis in my hip and after my 5th pregnancy, and I went to physio and all the things and I couldn't cure it, I couldn't run the way I used to. I couldn't lose the weight in the way that I was used to doing it. And so that was how it all started really compiling and really being very difficult for me because I wasn't able to lose the weight in the way that I wanted and the way that I was used to doing it. And so because I thought the only way that I could lose weight is by exercising because I didn't have a clear understanding about weight loss. I really didn't. And so I didn't know about the science. It seemed very complicated to me because when, of course, as we established at the beginning, there's all these different scientific experiments and they're always changing and they're coming up with new studies. And one of the problems that I had was I thought, I can't afford to pay for a personal trainer. I can't afford to pay someone to come and cook for me because it all seems very complicated. And I need to get, if I eat peppers, then I need to balance it with this. And it just seemed extremely overwhelming. And so what I teach my clients and my group members is that weight loss science is actually simple. And I used to be a grade 5 teacher. I taught grade 5 and 6 for almost 10 years. And so I got really good at explaining scientific things in a very simple way. And so now I'm really good at explaining and understanding all about there's not that many hormones. It's not that complicated, but people want you to make it really complicated. And I've been able to really understand it and apply it. Okay. Now, the other thing we need to understand this brain-body connection. So if, for example, I said, oh my gosh, that was the school. I just got this message. I've got to go. My son just really hurt himself. Immediately, our brain is saying, there is a danger. You need to go take care of it. And I'm sure some of you were like, oh yeah, she needs to do that. Because we have a thought and our thoughts create a physical reaction. So we already have that. So how many of you feel stress? How many of you feel excitement? If you see a baby, you're like, oh, so sweet, right? We have a thought, our eyes see something, and immediately we have a reaction. If we see a really weird guy walking, our body feels fear, and all of a sudden our heart starts beating, our eyes get wider, we maybe start sweating, we're very alert. That is our body-brain connection. So we already have that connection. And what I do is I help you understand your emotions, to pay attention to them, because emotions are literally just tapping us on the shoulder saying, you're feeling fear right now. There's this weird guy following you. Okay. So we pay attention to what's going on, and then we able to respond to it. And I teach you how to do that on purpose. It's very exciting. Then I also teach you how to create your very own protocol and learn how to perfect it. Because I teach tools, and I will talk a little bit about this later, but I teach you tools. I teach you how to apply that so you can go to your mother-in-law's, you can go on vacation, you could go to a church function or a quilt guild meeting with all the snacks, or go on a retreat with all, with Susie bringing her famous buns and this person bringing these cookies or whatever, and you don't have to worry about it. It doesn't even matter because you have your own protocol, and it just comes everywhere you go because you created it for yourself, and you have all the knowledge you need to tweak it and make it better. Because I'm telling you, even for me, my protocol has changed. I now weigh less than I ever remember weighing. And so my body has shifted and changed. So I have used my science. I understand my emotions. And so I can tweak my protocol now, and I can feel really empowered, and I can feel really just able to use that protocol to keep having the same results. Okay. We also learn how to make and keep goals. We also learn how to fail. So when I was a professional quilter teacher, which I shouldn't say when I was, when I was teaching though, quilting, because I still do every once in a while, I would always say that I'm the president of the Perfection Recovery Program. And inevitably, and Lori's on here, and Lori watched me. It was so fun in Edmonton. I was teaching long arm classes, and I would say that. And after every class, people would say, "Is that true? Is that real?" And so I know I have a lot of perfectionists that I work with, and it's because we never really learned how to fail. And I'm going to talk about a very, very special bonus at the end of this training about perfectionism, which also leads into procrastination and the people pleasing. I call it the triple P. Okay. So we really go into that, and we really see what's going on. Then we learn how to change our future. So I don't know about you, but I've been married for almost 20 years, and it feels like we have the same arguments for 20 years. And so the other day I said to my husband, I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute." Because he said that. He's like, "Why are we having that?" I'm like, "Because we haven't changed our thoughts about it." You have just kept the same thoughts. And so you just bring them up over and over and over. So that is the problem. Okay. So now, why does my process work? Why does that 5-step process? And by the way, so what I've done is I've created a 12-week program because I want to give my clients the opportunity to really look into it. And so I have those 5 vital steps, but I actually have 12 modules. And in these 12 modules, you can see I love them and I work through them. And these 12 modules, so we have subsets because it's not all cut and dry in 5 steps. And some of my clients, most of us, all of my clients, I say, you need to just stay in this program and just do it over, because what happens is we keep progressing. And so we just keep working on those things. So it didn't take us just 12 weeks to have weight loss problems. And so it's such an amazing gift that you give yourself to just really work through all of this. And the reason why my process works is because how many times have we not addressed the real issue? Because did you know there's only 2 reasons why we're overweight? That's it. We have overhunger, which means we just eat too often than our body needs. And we have over desire, which is like the sugary and the floury stuff, refined flour and sugar. So like the donuts and the chips and the chocolate bars and all the cakes and all of that. So these are the only 2 reasons we're overweight. Now, why do we eat too often? So that means we're eating too frequently. And why are we going to all the sugar and flour? Which, by the way that I work with myself and my clients is you can eat whatever you want. We just plan it. And so we never feel deprived, never. So we do eat too often, and we eat the sugar and flour. Why? Well, there's 4 reasons. We have emotional discomfort. We have desire. We have physical cravings, and we have hunger. So this is normal. This is part of being a human. But if we aren't managing these things and we're not having that connection with our brain and our body and really listening to our body and understanding and having all of our hormones regulated, which that's weight loss science is simple. There's like 3 main hormones to weight loss. And when I get those regulated, then we can have that. So this morning I had one of my, I have one-on-one clients and I have a group. And I was talking to her. She's actually a one-on-one client and she's in the group. And she was saying, so this is week 7. And she has gone 7 weeks without sugar and flour. And I asked her today about her desire because she has a husband who loves Doritos and he loves snacking and he loves going through and bringing home, like going through the house and eating all the stuff and then bringing home all the Doritos and all of those things, which she's not eating. And I said, well, how is that affecting you? And she said, I no longer have that same level of desire because desire is actually created. We create desire. Okay. So when we understand this, my process addresses those because we understand about emotional discomfort. We have, I say emotions are the key to the universe. We learn to be conscious. We learn about desire. And if we've learned how to create desire, we learn how to uncreate desire. We have physical cravings. We start listening to our body and we're able to understand the hormones and we get them regulated. There's only 3 hormones that have to do with weight loss. We get those regulated and then we learn how to work through that. And then hunger, especially as we regulate the hormones, then we can solve for that. Okay. So we have a process for the solution that I offer. We become empowered. So when we understand weight loss science, we're now empowered. We're like, oh, I'm now the driver for this. We are aware of our thoughts and emotions in our filter. We have a desired result. We can actually create the result that we want because now we become aware of our thoughts and emotions. And I teach tools that actually learn to filter how that works. Then we create the results we want. Okay, so why does this work? This works because we create our own protocol and tweak it. Okay, in the chat, I want to hear how often, if your mother is talking to you, if you're, I don't know if your mother is still around but I just had a client, she's in her 60s, and she said, when my mom used to talk to me a certain way, I immediately turned into a teenager. How often does that happen for you? Okay. So if we're, for example, if we're looking at a diet, that is some guy or some lady in some far land dictating to us what we should eat, when we should eat it, how much we should eat it. Okay. So when someone is telling you what to eat, when to eat it, and how to eat it, and things are not, and you're not addressing your emotional needs, what is your reaction? What is the emotional human reaction? Tell me. I want to hear it. You guys are being so quiet today. Rebellion? You want to do the exact opposite? Yes, absolutely. So then the reason why it works is because we become conscious of our thoughts. So how often do we say, like, I don't even know why I feel so frustrated. I don't even know why I feel so angry. Because we weren't aware of our thoughts in the first place. And so then we don't even, or if we're like feeling overwhelmed, it's like, it's just too much and our body's shut down. So I'm teaching you how to be conscious now of the thoughts you're having. So now you can be in charge. And then because we're doing that, we actually get to decide the results that we want. And so one of the tools that I teach is called the model. And it's what I was certified in at the life coach school. And the model tells us how things are going in our unconscious thoughts. And so when we become conscious, we can literally write anything in our result line, and then we can create it. So how does that feel? I'm telling you, as a parent, it was so interesting. I was using the model with my kids. We had a situation with miscommunication with my 14-year-old, and I showed him the model of what he was in and why he was creating those results for himself. And then it was the cutest thing ever, because my 8-year-old said, "Mom, you're like a magician." Because I showed him what his unconscious model was, his unintentional model, when we were in the default thinking, because it was our default brain, right? The lower brain. I'm like, if we did this on purpose, our intentional mind, then we would get that result. And so I love to think about the model as like literally we become magicians and we could just create whatever results we want. And I'm telling you, it's totally, my life is, what I have been able to create, what I've been able to do with my life just totally blows me away, because I am so dedicated to using my tools. And it is so much fun for me to see my clients who, after 6 months or 3 months, even in the group, and even the clients. So I had one lady in the group, and she signed up again, and she just hit just over 30 pounds. And it is so exciting because she is able to, so many more things are open to her because she's no longer carrying that extra 30 pounds. So it was awesome, because she said, "Dara, I'm so glad I signed up again, because I have so much more to learn." Now, remember how I talked about failure? So many of us have this story, like, I'm a failure. And so we actually start looking at failure in a totally different way. In fact, I celebrate it. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'll be talking this in the next page or so. Now, I just want to go back, and I want you to think about, in your own life, what has been your experience in the weight loss journey? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about why we keep recycling. Our past just becomes our future, and our future just becomes our past. So this has been a typical weight loss journey. If this is something that you can relate to, I want you to tell me in the chat. If this is something that you have a friend that you, whatever, I want you to just really look at this. So first of all, we have some random number, and think about why it's a problem, because our society says in order to be acceptable, you need to be a certain weight or whatever. And, truthfully, and I say this all the time, you don't have to be. In fact, when I was 170 pounds, I was thrilled. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. I'm 6 feet tall, so I'm a little bit taller. And I was 164 when I got married. So 164 was like my ideal wedding weight. And at 170, I thought, you know what? I've had 5 kids. I feel so good. I feel amazing. This is really fun. And then I just didn't worry about weight anymore. I just took care of my body. I just loved my body. And then I'd go on the scale, because that's one of my tools. And I just kept losing weight. And I thought, oh my gosh. And then the next thing, I got to 164, and I was like, what is happening? And then I just kept taking care of myself, and I used the scale as a tool. And now I weigh 150 pounds. And like, is that, sometimes I weigh 147 pounds, and sometimes I weigh 153 pounds. It really is so interesting and amazing. And I mean, I went shopping yesterday, and I was buying smalls. I couldn't believe it. So this is the thing that's interesting, though. So there is some random number that you collected from somebody that said, in order to be acceptable, you need to weigh this amount. So, because I even say to my clients, it's like, I can actually help you be happy. In fact, I help you be happy first without losing the weight. Yeah. Like, go and buy some clothes that fit you nicely. And just like feel good at 180 pounds or 270 pounds. and like just start really appreciating yourself. Okay. So you feel really bad about yourself because you see this number on the scale. It is that is said to you that you cannot be happy. You should not be allowed to be happy at this weight. Okay. And so notice how you're not even allowing yourself to like appreciate the body that you have. You're not giving yourself any love. You're not like, oh my gosh, but my legs still work and my hands work and my eyes, I see, I hear, I taste, I smell, because you're making your weight mean that you're a terrible person, which, by the way, the reason why you have your weight, there's a lot of reasons why women have extra weight. Some women have extra weight because they were sexually molested. Some women have extra weight because they have marital problems and they don't want their husband around them. Some women have extra weight because their boss is making advances on them. Some women have extra weight because they want to be accepted by their parents. Some women, like, I'm telling you, there are a lot of psychological reasons why women are overweight. And if you just feel really bad about yourself and you never get any compassion or any sympathy or any curiosity, you're never going to solve that problem. And you're always going to be turning to the brownies or to the whatever to feel better. You never give yourself that opportunity. Okay. I really want to emphasize that. And I want to give you so much encouragement because I help women every day overcome those obstacles. They are 100% overcomable. I love that word, overcomable. One of my favorite things to say is everything is figure outable and we can do hard things. And I 100% believe these tools are there for you, but we do have to be willing to go through the struggle. So then what happens is we research like crazy. We're like, and we maybe talk to people and we're like, tell me, like, how did you lose the weight? What did you do? And so you go outside of your own knowledge and wisdom and you turn to other people to say that because you have this feeling like you are not smart enough, you're deficient, okay? Then you invest a bunch of money and you go in no matter what. You're like, okay, I'm just going to put my full trust in this person, and I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. So what I do is it's just not going to, it doesn't matter anyway. Okay. And then you exhaust yourself and you actually get some success, but it's exhausting. And so even people in my program, guess what happens? They fall back into this trap of not using the tools for themselves, and they get exhausted and because they're not loving themselves all the way through. That is really important. Otherwise it won't work. If you know that you're exhausted by Friday or even by Thursday, and you're just like, I can't wait for the weekend, you're doing it wrong. Even those people in my program right now, I have some ideas. Okay. Bring it to me. I will help you. I promise 100%. It's workable. Okay. Because we have old wiring. I myself went on a date with my husband on Saturday. I've been doing this for a long time. Something really hard happened to him. So I went on a date with him. I overate because I wasn't paying attention, which is not very common. I hardly ever overeat anymore, something I've really worked on. And I ordered the wrong noodles. So I ordered gluten noodles and my face was like red and puffy. My stomach felt disgusting, but I didn't have to go through the shame spiral, anything. It was just like, oh, I made a mistake. Okay. So you exhaust yourself, but you get a success. And so you can do a couple of these things, or you might do them all. So you realize you're like, what? Life isn't magically rainbows and daisies? But I got to the number. I thought then I would be happy. No. You celebrate with food because that's what you're used to, because you think food is the solution, which, as we know, it's not. And we lighten up on the diet because we're like, well, just this one time. We negotiate. Okay. And so what happens then is we start putting the weight back on, and then we sabotage ourselves. And what the sabotage is, we're looking for the evidence of why we didn't have success. So we're like, oh, why didn't I have success? So instead of looking at, oh, by the way, diets don't work because you're totally out of your own power, because you don't understand weight loss science and you don't understand the connection between your brain and your feelings, right? then you're like, okay, well, I guess it's because my family history, or maybe it's because I am really stressed in my job, or maybe it's because I'm in perimenopause or menopause, or maybe it's because of the politics. Like life is just so stressful. You're not allowed to lose weight with stress. Okay. But I actually teach you how to work through the stress. So then we look for reasons why it's never possible. So then we go to resignation, and that's where I was. That's when I was at resignation when I met my life coach. I literally used to do the math of like, okay, I'm going to gain 4 pounds, maybe 4 to 6 pounds a year. Okay, by the time I'm 60, I'm going to be this way. Oh my goodness. And so then of course you go back to that number on the scale goes up again, and you just think, oh, I can't stand this. So you go right back up here to feel so terrible about yourself, research like crazy. Do you know how many clients come to me? They're like, I weigh 198 pounds, or I weigh 239 pounds, or I weigh 268 pounds, right? Because it's like they had some random number at like 270, then I need to get help. I'm not going to ask you to put in the chat, but as you're listening, I really want you to think about where you're feeling. Okay. And how much you can resonate with that. So the other thing we do in my program, so that is why you're having this problem. That is why you're struggling. So I teach you to recognize the number on the scale and start going inside yourself and start solving the problem without having to go for a diet, listen to somebody else. I actually teach you to listen to yourself, learn how to learn from yourself and see what's going on. Like I had a client today, she had a fibromyalgia flare up. And I said, what's going on? What was the thought before it? We totally worked it out. We totally figured out where that was coming, because when we have fibromyalgia, it comes from a lack of love. So it's like, what's going on? What's happening? And then we are able to solve for that, because we learn to listen to our body instead of avoid it and resist it because it's like terrible and ugly and disgusting. So I teach you a toolbox where you learn knowledge, but really we don't have a knowledge problem. Some of us, we have a thinking problem. So these tools actually address the thinking issues we have. So that client of mine who has struggled for her whole life with weight, and still struggling with really getting be able to look at herself really fully, but she's getting so much better because she kept saying to the doctors, I don't have a knowledge problem. She's very smart. She can read books. I have a thinking problem. So I teach you thinking skills. And then the next thing I do that's really amazing is we learn a fail plan, because the only way that we learn is through having a failure. And you can go back to one of my webinars about how to fail. It's learning that we actually just had an expectation that we were going to achieve something at a certain time, and we just didn't do it in the timeline that we had thought. So really the only reason we actually failed is because we had an expectation that we didn't meet. So then we collect data and we can learn how to adjust that, and we can create success on purpose. But the only way we do that is look at, okay, I expected that I would be able to do this half square, make this one block. Like I was actually coaching a lady this morning on her block of the months and how flying geese are a real problem for her. She's feeling really stressed out about it. Okay. I'm like, okay, well, let's take out the emotion and see what's going on. So we learn how to fail and fail forward in a way that's going to be so successful. All right. And so when we do all of these things, we are the driver for our own life and body. We become the expert of ourselves. Isn't that amazing? We don't have to have someone telling us what to do. Where I come in is I help you clean up your thoughts. So a life coach, it's like I'm saying, okay, we're going to start cleaning out this closet. And because we just shoved a bunch of stuff in all these boxes, like even thinking about your studio, your sewing rooms, you just shoved a bunch of fabric, and you can get these really nice Rubbermaids and they all look really nice and you have beautiful labels and it looks wonderful, but there's a lot of stuff shoved in there and you're like, oh, I don't really want to look at them. I get it. I hear you. But I'm there to help you see those negative thoughts that you keep trying to shove up underneath or put in the nicely labeled Rubbermaid bins. I help you work through them all and make a decision, okay? So I want you to think about a life coach and the process of our thinking. So we are thinking about our thinking now. This is something we've never really had an understanding of before. But it's like when you do the laundry, it's not like done. It's not complete. It's complete in the moment, but guess what? You're wearing clothes that are probably going to get dirty even when you're doing the laundry. And when you drink water, it's like you don't just finish drinking water and then you've solved that. No, it's like an ongoing thing. And so our thinking is an ongoing thing. So we need ongoing help to work on our thinking. So mental health is a very important investment. And as you see, if people aren't taking care of their mental health, thinking about their thinking, they are not getting the results they want. So over here, our current self, if you don't realize you're not looking at your negative thoughts, you're never going to get to there. So my process now says, okay, because if we have a negative thought, like let's say like I overate and I had like gluten on like these wheat noodles on Saturday. So in the past, I would have beat myself up, punched myself in the face. What's wrong with you? And then I probably went down the shame cycle. So then I would go and I'm like, well, I already messed up. I might as well go get some chocolate. Or I would go to Dairy Queen and like, trust me, I almost even thought of that. And I've been doing this for a long time because this is so ingrained. But what I teach you is to catch yourself before you go like 4 days in the shame cycle to 2 days to 1 day to half an hour to like just processing that negative emotion, recognizing it and not reacting to it. That's what I do. Okay. So that is that lesson part of the 5 vital steps to losing weight. So I talked about weight loss science is simple. We create our own protocols. The brain and body connection, emotions are key to the universe. We learn how to make goals and fail in the best way possible. And I talked a little bit about perfectionism, people pleasing, and procrastination. That's a huge focus of my program. And I'm going to talk about the bonus in just a moment. And then we change our future. So our past doesn't become our future and our future doesn't become our past. We don't keep living the same recycled life. So that was my learning part, my teaching part. And now I'm going to talk to you about how you can create these results for yourself. All right. So my program is called Love Yourself Thin. You can also look at it as 12 pounds in 12 weeks. So depending on how much weight you want to lose, some of my clients have lost 30 pounds, 35 in the 12 weeks. It really is dependent on how much weight you have to lose in the first place and how committed you are to the process. But you can pretty much guarantee that you will lose 12 pounds in that 12 weeks. And if that's not happening, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, so it is $3,000 to be in my program. And because I have such a high demand for my program, normally I would have started at the end of April, but because I already have people who are prepaid and they're ready to go, I thought I can do this. I can start March 31st. I am so happy to offer it to you. So for $3,000, starting March 31st, this is where you go. You can just click on this, and I will have this link for you in the follow-up email of this follow-up. I send a replay to my people on my email list, and I will have that link there, and you can click, you can pay today. It's going to start on March 31st. So it's just darathomason.com, contact Love Yourself Thin. That's what that's for. Now, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the program and why it's so successful. So I have, like I talked a little bit about, I have the 12 modules. So I broke down the process, the 5 vital steps. I broke them into 12 lessons. And each lesson has information, it has worksheets. that really start cleaning out your brain and really seeing what's going on. So I'm not only are the worksheets there to like extract those things from you, but they're also a lot of preventative. Like if you, like this week we were doing lesson 6, and it said when you go to what was it called? If you're going to an event, which I'm learning, there's a lot of people going to events. Oh, a buffering one. So like write it down and move on. So what did you buffer with? Why did you buffer with it? So you could do that at your house, right? Did you overshop? Did you, whatever it was? And it works you through like practical tools to help you. If there's an event coming, my mother-in-law is coming for 10 days and she bakes every day and everything she makes is delicious. So I'm actually doing this sheet of preparing myself for her coming in my own home, bringing all these desserts, okay? So what I found, so that my program is amazing. It's a standalone 12 weeks. It's beautiful. It's like professionally designed. I love it. But what I thought was it's actually really beneficial to learn something, especially something that you feel a lot of shame about, to learn with somebody else. Because it's not that much fun to be like, oh, I'm just going to go study this by myself and feel a lot of shame. So what I decided to do was I decided to add me teaching interactively with you so that you don't feel alone. So every Monday I work through this curriculum with you. We work together. I bring certain things out. We have discussion. And so that way you don't feel so alone. And that's been a really amazing benefit to the program. And then I thought, you know what? I really should add what it looks like and feels like to get coached, because I do teach the model and I do teach these other tools, but I thought to really benefit my my group members, my clients, is to have them have the opportunity to watch coaching, and then, because then they're not stressed out. They're not like, I'm being, like this. Obviously, when you're being coached, there's a little bit of adrenaline and things. So when you're watching someone else getting coached, it's like, oh, I can see what's going on. And you can start recognizing things in yourself. It also helps you to learn the process, because I even invite my clients, like, what would you say as the coach? What tool would you use? What is the emotion? And so you're able to like model what the model looks like. It's so helpful. So we actually have a whole added 1 hour a week coaching, which everything is recorded. It's on your, I have an amazing virtual assistant, and I actually have 2, and one of them is on here because one of mine just had a baby. And so we have our backup virtual assistant who she does lots of other things, which is amazing. So then you always have a recording of it and it's yours, and you can rewatch it and you can learn and you can grow. Another component about the program, and as I've been working on the program, I learned how significant being coached in a group and having weight loss in a group is going to be. So I have done the one-on-one for many, for a while, and I thought I love, because actually when I was doing my one-on-one, I had a group component because I was teaching and I wanted them to like take a deep dive into something. And what I was noticing in my one-on-one coaching was the other women would say, oh, when I was on that group call, I noticed so-and-so. I noticed what she was going through. And so in my mind, because I love one-on-one coaching, I love my one-on-one coach, I love all of it. But as I noticed them say, I was noticing how this lady was responding and that person was responding. And I didn't feel alone anymore. And I thought, oh, Dara, how amazing would that be for you to provide that? So you are actually in a group and it is very fulfilling. You don't feel alone. So you have, you learn together. So I teach it with you. You get the group component. So you see other women. You actually don't feel ashamed anymore about weight loss because you have other women that are going through the same thing. You have continuous support. So that was another component. I thought, well, do I want to, but really having that community Facebook group, it's always there, and you always have me. So you can always ask me any questions 24/7, so you never feel alone. So these are all the bonuses that I was able to create because I kept thinking, what would make the most success when to have weight loss? And I do encourage my clients. I say, just keep signing up. We're always progressing. We're always learning. So give yourself the opportunity, because if you put a lot of pressure on yourself, you have to do this in 12 weeks. Whenever you're fueled by pressure, you're not going to get long-lasting, amazing results. So that's another reason why I have the group, because it's a less expensive investment than a one-on-one coach. When people work with me one-on-one, it's very expensive. Okay. Because I only have so many hours a day and I have such a high demand. So this makes it very accessible to so many more people. Now, when I talk, so that's $3,000 for 12 weeks. It starts March 31st. You have a group, you have that environment, you have all that support. Now, the next thing that I really noticed as I was coaching women was the need for perfectionism. And because one of my vital steps is to learn how to fail and then to grow from that, I was finding it was really stressful and difficult for a lot of my ladies, because I do attract very high achieving, very successful women, but they really couldn't, the idea of failure or even that concept was really a struggle. And we spent a lot of time working through that. And so back in November, I finally wrote the 12-step perfection recovery program. And this program is, I have a test on here that tells you where exactly you fall under the perfectionist realm. And it's very specific, and we cover very specific types of perfectionism and how it shows up in different ways. And so these questionnaire, they relate to the steps in the program. So if you scored high on number 1, which is there is no room for mistakes, then you would go to step 1 in the program, and then there's worksheets and there's information for you that you can do it. Now, the other thing that I did with this 12-step perfection program is I actually added a UFO challenge in the back for quilters, because how many of us struggle with that? So there's a UFO challenge, there's worksheets, you can have a digital and printed copy. And if you sign up today for the program, March 31st, it's starting with an amazing group of women. There's already women that are prepaid, ready to go. And then I will mail this directly to you. So you will have a beautifully hardbound book. You will also get a digital book, because when I had the designer design it, I want this to be used. I want this to be loved, and all of that. So if you want to have it in a digital copy, you can do that as well. And then also if you wanted to print that off too. So as a bonus for signing, you can get this book mailed directly to you from my home on Vancouver Island. So and then with that, actually what I decided to do was, because another reason, it's a little bit difficult to motivate yourself to do something that you feel a lot of shame about. So as a very special bonus, on Mondays, as a bonus hour, I work with we do a deep dive in this. And so it's actually 3 hours of instruction with me every week. So twice on Monday, and then you also get the Wednesday call. Oh, wait a minute, I just lied. When you become one of my clients, you actually, every 4th Monday of the month, I might have to change that because that's a lot of Mondays. I gotta think about that. But anyways, once a month, you get a maintenance call with me. So you get to come back on the call, you get that group. So that's another bonus, which I totally forgot about on here. I have a lot of bonuses. So this is how you sign up, darathomason.com, contact Love Yourself Thin, LYT. So you get the 5-step process, the vital steps, which has my 12-week modules, and those will be, and I actually bring those out once a week. I do not want to overwhelm you. So every week you get them a week in advance, so you can print it off and be ready for the class. Then you get the Facebook group, so you don't have to feel ashamed or alone. You don't have to be hiding anymore. You get the weekly coaching with me, and you get to be with the other group. You get watch other people being coached, and then you get the chance to be coached. You get access to me 24/7, because I know that one of the main questions you have is, I've tried these things in the past and I haven't been successful. But if you knew that you had a coach like me, who is the only life coach for quilters, weight loss, that's what I do. I do this full time, 40 hours a week. Then you have access to me. How could you not have success? The only reason you wouldn't have success is if you didn't use this bonus. And that's totally up to you. That's in your shoes. But as one of the containers of the program, and this is a new component, but to qualify to be in my program, there are certain qualifications. You need to commit to coming to a certain number of calls. You need to commit to a certain number of worksheets. And you also need to commit to getting coached on the call only 3 times out of the 24, 24 to, there's the three hours per week. If you can't make it to different calls, you can always, of course, say, Dara, I can't do it, and I watch the replay. But I need you to have a level of commitment in here, because our tendency is to run away and hide. And that's not what's going to get you the results. Your brain and your body will thank you, I promise. And then, and then I need to write that in there too, that you get maintenance calls once a month maintenance calls. But I find a lot of my clients will just keep signing up every 12 weeks because it's so beneficial, and their brain is like, thank you so much. My mental health is so important. I need to keep cleaning. It's not like when I just have a drink of water, it's like, okay, or I've just done my drinking for the week. No, we need to keep doing the drinking of the water. We need to keep doing the laundry. We need to keep, once we clean the kitchen, it doesn't stay clean because we got to use it again. And we're using our brain. Once it's clean, we use it. Someone else calls, a mother-in-law calls, or your father, someone breaks a hip, or you have to, we have some more in the pandemic. So we're always thinking. We always need help working on our thinking. Okay. So once a month maintenance calls, because but I'm telling you, it's so important, like weekly, bi-weekly, tri-weekly, to just keep doing this. And once you get those tools, it will get easier and easier. And then, of course, the very special bonus of getting this sent to you, to your door in my program. So does anyone have any questions? I love that you all stayed on here. So good. I have a few more minutes. I could actually stay here for another 6 or 7 more minutes. I'm actually doing a Canadian tour video quilting class pretty soon. So tell me, what questions do you have? Just put them in the chat. Okay, so one of the questions that I often get asked is, do you have lifetime access? Okay, so you can get access to the videos, but we keep the Facebook group for 1 year. So the group that you are part of, that will stay open for a year. Okay, so then you can still connect. But I see it's really sweet, because I'll see different ladies, they make such a connection. And so they'll just post on each other's like personal page and all of that. And it feels really lovely and warm. Because like I addressed earlier, one of the most difficult things about weight loss, and we thought like right here at the beginning, is our society tells us that we can't be acceptable, we can't be whole and complete if we're overweight. So we have a lot of shame. We feel a lot of embarrassment. I have a lot of women saying, like, they go to the grocery store and they feel judged. Okay, our society is just that way. And it's very interesting Because even for me, for example, I have never been this thin. I never even imagined I would be this thin. And so, but my relationship with my body is so different. And one of the things that happens is, even if we, so I am, it was way more fun shopping yesterday. It's not saying that losing weight is going to solve all your problems, but losing weight solves your weight loss problems. And guess what? With all this extra time and energy, I have way more time and energy to think about other things, to be more creative, I'm spending a lot less time beating myself up. So when I'm not like punching myself in the face because I'm getting dressed in the morning and I'm like, oh, what's wrong with this belly? What's wrong with your wife? Or when I go in the car and I put the seatbelt on and I'm like, oh, I'm just so gross. And I'm constantly talking to myself that way. I have a lot more energy and I have a lot more excitement in life because I'm not spending all that time beating myself up. And so I can do other things. So that is something I definitely recommend. If you're spending a lot of time punching yourself in the face, I call it, or being mean, or this really a lot of negative self-talk, when you start learning how to connect your thoughts with your emotions and you start losing the weight, you don't have this really unhealthy relationship anymore. And so I want you to ask yourself, what would you do with all that extra time? Truly, what would you do if you weren't being so negative to yourself all the time? What would you create? What would you make? I'm doing this really fun series for the month of March on my Instagram and on my blog and on my YouTube channel. You need to, if you're not already on there, you gotta subscribe to all of those. And I'm interviewing all sorts of quilters, regular everyday quilters, business owner quilters, all sorts of quilters. And I'm talking to them about how resilient they are. Last training, I talked about the importance of resilience, bouncing back from difficulty. So imagine how much more resilient you will be when you're no longer punching yourself in the face because you have 20 pounds extra, 40 pounds extra, 100 pounds extra. All that is you literally just have more calories than your body needs. That's all it is. But then when we can start figuring out why. So was it because a teacher said a comment to you? Was it because your mom said you weren't good enough? Was it because you're being so mean to yourself that you need the food to feel better because you're not taking care of yourself? We actually start really diving deep into what's really going on. Okay. Any other questions? So you go to darathomason.com, contact Love Yourself Thin. You can pay right away. When you pay, I will send this to you right to your own door. If you already have it, that's amazing. And you'll be able to come join us. Actually, as a bonus, why don't we do this? You pay and you would just start right away until March 31st. You would join us every Monday for my group. How's that sound? How fun is that? You can get started even before the program starts. Oh my gosh, that's so much fun. So darathomason.com, contact Love Yourself Thin. You just pay the $3,000 and you will immediately get the book mailed to you. I'll send you a digital copy and you can come this Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific. You will come to Love Yourself. You will come to the 12-step perfection recovery. We are actually on step 2 and you can get started right away. And then March 31st, we will start our class and it will be every Monday and Friday. So good. And you will join with an amazing group of women. We already have women prepaid. They're like, I don't care when it starts, just get me in. And we can get going on really being able to solve all the problems with my 5 vital steps. Thank you so much for coming today. I love you all. I love that you took this time for yourself. I really want to ask, before I close, I just want to ask one last question. So if we were to fast forward 1 year from now, and you signed up for this program and you were able to really solve the problems through my 5 vital steps, and you were having a conversation, so your future self zooms back to at this moment, because you're like, should I do this? This is, $3,000. I don't know. I've done all these other things, but you did it. You invested, you learned, you grew. What would your future self tell you at this moment? I really want you to listen to that voice. All right. www.daratomason.com/contact-love yourself in. I cannot wait to be your life coach. I cannot wait to help you keep cleaning all these thoughts, because we are just humans who are always having these negative thoughts. And as we know, that motivational triad, the lower brain, if the lower brain is working, then we're getting default thoughts, and we need to clean those out. All right, take care, everyone. All the best.